A happy morning to all. And myself Nivedita, working as an assistant professor in the Department of ECE. So now we'll have a session on the title Communication from Principles of Management. So these are the contents for today's session: introduction and definition, followed by functions of communication, communication styles, communication networks, informal communication, and barriers to effective communication. And the first topic is about the introduction to communication. So here the communication is the exchange of messages between people for the purpose of achieving common meanings. So whenever a group of people interact, communication takes place. So it is nothing but the exchange of information using a shared set of symbols. So a communication also functions to build and reinforce interdependence between various parts of organization. So moving on to the definition, we have many authors who have defined communication in their own ways. According to Brown, a communication is a process of transmitting ideas or thoughts from one person to another for the purpose of creating understanding in the thinking of the person receiving the communication. So again, we have Coons and O'Donnell who have described communication is an intercourse by words, letters, symbols, or messages, and is a way that the organization member shares meaning and understanding with another. So moving on to the next one, we have functions of communication. Yes, so here the functions of communication serves four major functions within an organization. First and foremost thing is about the control. Here the communication acts to control the employee's behavior. So organizations have authority hierarchies and formal guidance that employees are required to follow. The control mechanism can work only when the communication is oral and written, which is very effective. So the next parameter is about the information. Like communication is a vital necessity to an organization, just as a bloodstream to the person. So again, it is essential that the information must be communicated to the managers on the basis of which the plans can be developed, and these plans must be communicated to the operating managers and the employees. And the third, which is a prime factor, which is motivation. Here, the communication fosters motivation by clarifying to employees what is to be done, how well they are doing, and what can be done to improve performance if it is unsatisfactory. And the last one is about the emotional expression. Here, the communication provides a release for the emotional expression of feelings and for the fulfillment of social needs. Employee shows their frustrations and feelings of satisfaction only through communication. So these are the four important functions of communication inside an organization. Next is about the communication style, which could be explained using a Johari window concept. Here, when people communicate, they differ not only in non-verbal behaviors and languages, but in the degree to which they provide and seek information. So such differences constitute various communication styles. So here, a popular model for describing the differences in the communication style is a Johari window, which was developed by Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham. So this model classifies an individual's tendency to facilitate or hinder interpersonal communication along two dimensions. One is exposure, another one is feedback. Actually, let me explain the definition of exposure is like the extent to which an individual openly and expressively shares his feelings and experiences and information when trying to communicate. And the second one is about the feedback, where an individual successfully elicits exposure from others. So according to this, these dimensions translates into four windows. And the first window is about open self, second one is about hidden self, and third one is about the blind self, and the last one is undiscovered self. So yes, what is open self? The open self is an arena information known to the person and to others. So there would be generally be openness and compatibility and little reason to be defensive. This type of interpersonal relationship would tend to decrease the interpersonal conflict. So the second one is about the hidden self. Here in this situation, the hidden information is known to the person but not to others. So here it encompasses those things or feelings that we are aware of but don't wish to share with others for the fear they will think less of us or possibly use the information against us. So this is quite common. Here the potential interpersonal conflict in this situation because the person may keep their feelings or attitude secret and will not open up to others. And the third window is about blind self. Here the information known to others but not to yourself. So this is a result of where no one ever telling you or because you're defensively blocking them out. The person may unintentionally irritating the other could actually tell the person but may be fearful for hurting the person's feeling. So as in the hidden self, there is a potential interpersonal conflict in this situation. So the last one is about the undiscovered self. So as the name suggests, the undiscovered self includes feeling, experiences, and information that neither you nor others are aware of. It arises from lack of communication here. A manager whose unknown area is very large tends to be an autocratic leader perceived as aloof. So employees may have trouble discerning what this person actually wants from us. If we put it in other terms, we could say that there is much misunderstanding and interpersonal conflict with that person. So this is about the undiscovered self. So here the Johari window only points out possible interpersonal styles. So these are the possible interpersonal styles which we could discover out of a human being. So this is about the Johari window, that is a communication style. Next one is about the communication networks. So the communication network is nothing but it is a pattern of direction in which the information flow in organization. So the channel of communication are either formal or informal networks. So the formal networks follow the authority chain and are limited to task-related communications, wherein the informal network, which is said to be grapevine, which we'll be seeing in the next slide, is free to move in any direction, skipping the authority levels. So according to this, we have five different types of networks. The first one is about chain network. In chain network, the communication travels up and down through the hierarchy. Each person communicates with only the person directly above or below in terms of reporting relationships. So it strictly follows the formal chain of command. So the next one is about the OI network. Here the flow of communication resembles an upside down Y. Information flows upward and downward through hierarchy, widening to include the number of employees reporting to a supervisor. So the third one is about the wheel network. Here the information flows to and from a single person. Employees in the group communicate primarily with that person rather than with each other. So here the communication network is fast means of getting information to employees, since a person at the hub of the wheel can do directly and efficiently. So when we see the chain network, Y network and wheel network are centralized in the most messages must flow through a crucial person in the network. And the next one is about the circle network. Here, the circle network employees communicate only with the adjoining members of the organization. And the last one is about the all channel network, and which could be termed as also a star network. Here, the communication flows upward, downward, and laterally among all members of the group. So, these are about the communication networks. So, informal communication is a communication which is outside the organizations which are formally authorized channels. So here the grapevine is nothing but this grapevine develop in an organization to handle communication that the formal channel of communications do not handle or cannot handle. So it typically supplements or replaces the organization hierarchy as means of transmitting communication. So here, like although grapevines are neither good nor bad in themselves, the messages they carry are subject to distortion as messages transmitted from one human link to another become progressively more garbled, which means distorted or confused. So here the content is misinterpreted, abbreviated, embellished, and selectively transmitted. So since the original message may be only the partially true, it is not it is surprisingly that the grapevine is sometimes referred as a rumor mill. Yes, it is very obvious seeing this diagram that what does grapevine mean. So it is actually about spreading the rumors or unwanted information from person to person, and I think this type of communication is very fastest means of communication when compared to any other networks. So yes, this grapevine has two main important characteristics. One is it is not controlled by the management, and it is largely used to serve as the self-interest of these people within it. So yes, so this is about the grapevine. It is simply a rumor spreading group inside an organization. The last one is about the keys to effective supervisory communication. So here the managers, can and should improve communication in organization. So they are sole responsibility. So interpersonal communication between managers and their employees is a critical foundation for effective performance in organization. So here we have, according to this, we have five different keys. The first one is about the expressive leaders. So here the manager express their thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Supervisors will be who speak out, let the people they work with know where they stand and what they believe and how they feel. So this is about the qualities of expressive leader. And the next one is about the what is that empathetic listeners. So here Empathetic listeners are willing to hear what the employees are about to say and able to hear the feelings and emotional dimensions of messages people send them, as well as the content of ideas and issues. So they should be very approachable and willing to listen to the suggestion and the complaints as well. So these are the qualities of empathetic listeners. The next one is about the persuasive leaders. Here, they are distinguished by the use of persuasive communication when influencing others. So here, they encourage others to achieve results instead of telling others what to do. So which will not be highly sufficient to run an organization smoothly. So they are not highly directive or manipulative in their influence attempts. So the next one is about the sensitive to feelings. Better supervisors are also sensitive to feelings, self-image, and psychological defenses of their employees. And actually, care is to be taken to avoid giving critical feedback or reprimanding in public. They work to enhance that self-esteem is appropriate to person's real talents, abilities, and achievements. So the last one is about the informative managers. So the better supervisor keep those who work for them well informed. They give advance notice of organizational changes and explain the rationale of organization policies. So these are about the keys, like how the managers ought to be in order to lead an organization very smoothly. So that's all of for today's session. Thank you.